The wind bit sharply as she stood on the crowded platform, the late afternoon sun bleeding through the clouds, casting long shadows over the sea of faces rushing past her. Her fingers trembled, clutching the small cracked watch she'd found in the jewelry box, a relic from a life that now felt distant, like a fading photograph. The cold metal pressed against her palm, grounding her even as her heart unraveled. Her eyes, dark and restless, scanned the throng, searching for something, or someone, yet refusing to look directly. A strand of hair escaped her loose bun, whipped by the gusts, brushing against her cheek like a whispered secret she wasn't ready to hear. Around her, strangers bustled, some laughing, others shouting, but she was silent, invisible. The suitcase by her side, worn at the edges and scuffed, held more than just clothes. It held memories she wasn't prepared to unpack yet. She thought about the messages she'd received just hours ago, each one a blade wrapped in a smile. The pictures, impossible, cruel, etched in her mind's eye like scars. His face, her face, intertwined in betrayal. Her hands shook, not from the cold, but from the storm inside her chest. The phone in her pocket buzzed again. Another message. She resisted the urge to look. How did it come to this, she wondered, the question echoing in the hollow space between breaths. Around her, the train's arrival was announced, a loud screech, metal against metal, drawing a rush of noise and movement. But she remained still, rooted in place, a lone figure against the tide of life carrying on. Somewhere, in the distance, laughter spilled from a nearby cafe, a cruel contrast to the storm within her. She remembered the red scarf she used to wear on chilly nights, a gift from him once, now folded away in a drawer where everything was hiding. Like her trust, wrapped up and forgotten. The watch in her hand ticked faintly, each second a reminder that time was both an enemy and a witness. Her breath caught as a wedding party appeared on the other side of the platform, smiling faces, flowers, hopeful eyes. Was this their moment too? Was this the scene she was meant to crash? A sudden gust tore the papers from her suitcase pocket, screenshots of his betrayal fluttered in the wind, impossible to retrieve. She dropped to her knees, the shards of her world scattered around her like broken glass. She swallowed hard, voice barely a whisper. They need to see. No one heard. Not yet. But soon. She sat on the cold metal bench, the cracked watch resting heavy in her palm, its faded hands frozen at 3:15. Time stopped the day everything shattered. She traced the worn edges of the small suitcase beside her, the same one she dragged through countless moves, every scuff a silent witness to her fight to keep going. Her mind drifted to her father's voice, low and steady, from a lifetime ago. Hold on to what matters, no matter what the world throws at you. Back then, the suitcase had been hers, too, once packed with childhood dreams, now burdened with bitter truths. Around her, the station pulsed with life. Families reunited with tight embraces, children pulling at parents' hands, tears mingling with laughter. A woman's scarf caught the breeze nearby, red, vibrant, just like the one she used to wear, before everything changed. Her loneliness carved a hollow in the crowded space. She tried to focus on the stranger sitting a few feet away, a quiet presence with eyes that didn't intrude but watched, intentionally, she was sure. His calm silence felt like a challenge, like he saw through her cracks and chose not to shatter her further. The suitcase beside her held more than clothes. It was the sum of late nights balancing bills, the weight of unanswered calls, and the ache of trust broken beyond repair. She wanted to scream, to crumble, but she clutched the watch tighter, the ticking a fragile reminder that she still had time. Her phone vibrated again, the screen lighting up with names she couldn't face. Instead, she looked up, catching sight of a young mother handing her child a shiny balloon. The child's grin was pure, innocent, everything she felt slipping away from her. A sudden gust caught the edge of her scarf, lifting it briefly before she grabbed it back, her fingers trembling. The red fabric was more than warmth, it was a symbol of love she'd lost and fury she was just beginning to claim. The stranger shifted slightly, offering a half-smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. She hesitated, unsure if it was pity or something else. Their brief eye contact felt like an unspoken question. What would she do next? The train's whistle cut through the noise, signaling departures and goodbyes. She stood, suitcase in hand, heart pounding, the cracked watch still ticking somewhere beneath her skin. As the crowd surged forward, she paused, caught between the past and the future, the betrayal and the reckoning. The stranger's gaze lingered, steady and unreadable. She swallowed hard and whispered, "Not yet." And in that suspended moment, the weight of the watch and the scars it held pressed against her soul, reminding her that some battles were just beginning. The rain began slowly, a hesitant tapping against the glass walls of the station. Drops gathered, blurring the world outside into a watercolor wash of gray and sorrow. She glanced sideways at the stranger again, his worn leather shoes, scuffed and softened from years of walking hard roads, caught her eye. He shifted, revealing a glimpse of a faded photograph tucked inside his wallet, edges curled like a secret he never meant to show. She caught it, a woman's smile, tired but kind. Something about it pulled at her, a faint echo of the loneliness settling deep inside her chest. She realized then the stranger carried his own battles, shadows lurking just beneath that quiet exterior. Her breath hitched as the wind rushed in, tugging at the red scarf wrapped loosely around her neck. It was a shield and a flag, a symbol of her heartbreak and the fire growing inside. She thought about the screenshots again, burning in her pocket like tiny shards of betrayal she was meant to wield. Yet here, across from her, was someone whose silence spoke volumes. The station's fluorescent lights flickered, the atmosphere charged with unspoken tension. She felt a pull, a strange gravity between them, as if their pain was a tether neither could deny. Her fingers clenched the cracked watch, the ticking now drowned by the distant rumble of thunder. "I should leave," she whispered to herself, eyes fixed on the steady rhythm of his breathing. But something raw and unspoken, kept her rooted, wanting to understand, to connect, even as her heart screamed to run. The stranger's gaze met hers, steady but unreadable, like he was weighing a choice as heavy as her own. Was this fate? Or was she being drawn into another web of quiet manipulation? She couldn't tell. Rain streaked down the glass, mirroring the tears she refused to shed. Around them, the world carried on, announcements crackling overhead, footsteps echoing, lives intersecting and parting like waves. Yet in this suspended moment, time seemed to fold inward. Her mind battled with itself, anger against the man who'd shattered her life, confusion at the stranger who might hold a reflection of her own despair. Morality twisted like the storm outside. Should she confront the pain with fire or silence? Revenge or release? The stranger shifted again, pulling the faded photo from his wallet just enough for her to see the worn edges and the quiet smile. His eyes held a question, one she couldn't answer. The train lights blinked, signaling a departure long overdue. She tightened the scarf, heart pounding like the thunder rolling closer. Was this a meeting of two lost souls, or a trap set by a fate too cruel to ignore? She stood abruptly, suitcase in hand, the cracked watch pressing against her palm, a heartbeat away from the storm breaking loose. And then, nothing but the rain. She stepped toward the exit, the suitcase wheels scraping softly against the platform floor. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, leaving glistening puddles that mirrored the pale gray sky. For a moment, she was almost gone, almost free from the weight of the cracked watch nestled in her palm, the sharp edges of the betrayal burning beneath her skin. But then, a sudden movement caught her eye. The stranger stood, holding something delicate between his fingers. The small cracked watch. Her watch. He lifted it as if offering a fragile truce, eyes searching hers, not with pity, but something deeper, a shared understanding buried beneath layers of silence. The watch no longer felt like just a symbol of time lost. Now, it was a fragile promise, a shard of something neither of them dared say aloud. She swallowed hard, heart trembling. Some people carry more than just bags, she murmured, voice barely above the hush of the rain. They carry silence. And it weighs heavy. Behind her, a mother glanced their way, her eyes flickering with quiet judgment. A young man on a bench whispered something to his companion, nodding in the direction of the two strangers. The world was watching, or perhaps just waiting, for her to crumble, or to fight. The suitcase felt heavier now, a burden not just of memories but of decisions yet unmade. She took a shaky breath, stepping back, caught between fleeing and confronting. Her hands trembled, not from the chill, but from the storm rising inside. The stranger's gaze held steady, patient but unreadable. He didn't speak, but in the silent exchange, she heard 1,000 questions, echoes of her own. Tears threatened, blurring her vision as the past and present collided. The watch ticked faintly in his hand, a heartbeat suspended between what was and what could be. She almost turned away again, almost let the moment slip through her fingers like water. But she paused, looking back, just once. The world held its breath. The cracked watch gleamed faintly in the dying light, a fragile emblem of broken trust and fragile hope. Neither spoke. Neither moved. Around them, life hummed on, the quiet judgments, the whispered comments, the distant laughter, all threads in the tapestry of a story unfinished. She felt the weight of all the silent eyes, the invisible hands pressing down, telling her how to feel, how to act. But inside, the fight was hers alone. The train rumbled in the distance, a reminder that time was running out, and choices had to be made. Yet here, on this rain-dappled platform, two strangers stood, caught between past pain and uncertain futures. And the cracked watch ticked on, its rhythm a fragile pulse beneath the gathering storm. The stranger's eyes held a quiet weight as he slipped the cracked watch back into his pocket, but something shifted in the air, a subtle tension, like the moment before a storm breaks. She barely noticed until a name caught her ear, whispered from a nearby conversation. The company's owner? The one who just took over the merger? Her heart jolted. Could it be? The man she'd silently observed, whose silence had mirrored her own, was more than just a stranger. She remembered the company, her dream job, the application still pending in the inbox of her battered laptop. The very place where she hoped to build a future, far from the ruins of her past. A sudden flash of memory, the cracked watch wasn't just a keepsake. The stranger's fingers brushed it as if it belonged to someone else, someone he had lost. She recalled a phrase he'd murmured earlier, almost too soft to catch. Some people carry more than just bags, they carry silence. Now, it echoed differently, a fragile testament to love and loss. Her mind raced. This watch, cracked and worn, had belonged to his late daughter, a piece of him that survived tragedy. The betrayal she'd suffered, the rage she carried, it suddenly felt tangled with his own shadows, deeper than she'd imagined. Her pulse thundered. She was standing at the edge of a precipice, the point of no return. Her pain was no longer just hers, it was woven with his grief, his secrets. The phone buzzed again, the screen lighting up with another message from the woman who had destroyed everything. But she didn't reach for it. Instead, she stepped forward, her suitcase wheels clicking sharply against the platform as the crowd began to thin. The stranger's gaze followed her, not with judgment, but something softer, almost like understanding. She swallowed hard, the weight of the cracked watch heavy in her pocket, now a symbol of a story neither of them could escape. Her mind whispered the words again, the time loop echo binding them. Some people carry more than just bags, they carry silence. She felt the silence settle deep within her, not as a burden, but a strange kind of armor. With one last glance at the stranger, she turned toward the station exit, the doors sliding open to reveal a bright lobby beyond, a room that held new possibilities, new battles, and a future uncharted. As she stepped inside, the rain fell behind her, the storm breaking but her own reckoning just beginning. The station was quieter now, the earlier storm reduced to a soft drizzle that traced rivers down the glass walls. She stood again on the platform where her world had fractured hours ago, the cracked watch now warm in her palm, not a reminder of loss, but a key to something fragile and new. He stepped forward, his eyes steady, no longer the stranger but a man shaped by grief and hope tangled like threads in a tapestry. "I didn't choose you because of who you are," he said quietly, voice rough with truth. "I chose you because you remind me of her. My daughter." His fingers brushed the watch as he spoke, the same watch she'd clutched since their first encounter. This belonged to her. Her breath caught, the weight of betrayal and sorrow intertwining with his pain. She looked down at the watch, its cracked face now a testament not to brokenness, but endurance. The object that once carried silent accusations now held a silent promise. "I thought I'd hate you," she whispered, "but maybe we're both just trying to survive the silence." He nodded, stepping closer, the space between them charged but not with passion, something quieter, more complex. "You don't have to be like her. You can be yourself." The crowd had thinned, the faces around them now just shadows in the soft glow of the station's fading light. She took a deep breath, feeling the old anger soften, replaced by a fierce clarity. This wasn't about reclaiming what was lost. It was about choosing what to carry forward. Without a word, she reached into her suitcase and pulled out the red scarf, the one folded carefully beneath her coat. She handed it to him. "For her. For you." The gesture was simple, but heavy with meaning, a letting go, a gift, a bridge. He accepted it, the fabric catching the light, vibrant and alive despite everything. The scarf, once a symbol of love turned betrayal, now became a quiet emblem of healing and memory. She turned away then, stepping toward the exit with lighter steps, leaving behind the cracked watch on a nearby bench, a silent offering to the past she was ready to leave behind. The suitcase rolled quietly after her, but inside, the weight was lighter, the burden shared. The station doors slid open to the outside world, wet with rain and possibility. She paused just a moment, looking back at the place where she'd arrived broken and unsure. Now, she was different, stronger, stripped of illusions but filled with new resolve. Her fingers brushed the empty wrist where the watch had been, a strange emptiness that felt more like freedom. As she stepped into the swirling city lights, a soft thought echoed in her mind, a quiet truth beneath the noise. Not every stranger you help is meant to stay, but some leave you changed forever. She walked slowly down the quiet street, the night wrapped around her like a soft, familiar cloak. The city lights blurred through the gentle rain, casting halos of gold and amber that flickered with every step she took. Her hands were empty now, no suitcase, no cracked watch, only the steady beat of her own heart guiding her forward. Back in the small apartment she had rented months ago, the red scarf lay folded neatly in a drawer, bathed in the soft glow of a bedside lamp. It was no longer a symbol of pain or betrayal, but of something more elusive, survival, memory, and a fragile kind of hope. Sometimes, she thought, love is not romance, it's recognition. She sat by the window, watching the rain trace delicate patterns against the glass. The city breathed softly beneath the clouds, unaware of the quiet revolutions unfolding in small lives like hers. She remembered the stranger's voice, steady and kind in its unexpected way, how two broken stories had brushed against each other, leaving marks that would never quite fade. Her eyes traced the outline of the cracked watch's shadow on the bedside table, returned, laid to rest. It no longer ticked just time, but moments, moments of reckoning, of forgiveness, of letting go. Outside, the world kept turning, families laughed, strangers hurried by, and life marched on in relentless motion. She was no longer the girl frozen on the platform, clutching fragments of a shattered trust. She was something quieter now, stronger, not because she had won, but because she had survived the storm within. Her thoughts drifted to the truth they never fully spoke aloud. Some wounds don't heal with closure, but with acceptance. The kind that carries you forward, even when the past lingers like a shadow. She whispered softly to the empty room, not every story needs an ending. Sometimes, it's the questions that carry us home. And as the night deepened, she closed her eyes, feeling the weight of silence, not as absence, but as space to grow. Sometimes, she thought, the most profound journeys are those we take alone, with nothing but the echoes of what once was, and the quiet hope of what might be. The watch, the scarf, the stranger, they were threads woven into her story, now resting in the corners of memory, waiting for the next chapter to begin. Because not every goodbye is final, and not every silence is empty. What we carry shapes us, sometimes gently, sometimes like a storm, and in that carrying, we find ourselves anew.